Hi, Kirby. Welcome, Kennedy Landry at MLB.com. I guess we can start. I mean, what kind of drew you to the Rangers and signing this deal here?
Um, I think, proximity to home was very attractive for me. But on the other hand, I've heard nothing but great things about this organization. Obviously, they just won a World Series, so you know that they're going to be competitive for years to come. I think, just kind of everything that, I've heard about the organization has been top notch. And then you also get a chance to go out and compete for a championship every year. I don't know if you want anything else as a player, personally.
I know, entering this year, you kind of had a bounce back after a couple of injury riddled seasons. Was that really the reason for your bounce back, or was there something else specifically that kind of led to you having like a really good year besides being healthy, I should say?
I think going into last year, the one thing I just, I needed to do for me personally too, also to kind of see where my career was going to go, is I needed to stay healthy. I needed to check the box that I can still pitch a major league season healthy. I did that. I think on the pitching side, I thought there were times where I was good, but there were times where I was really bad. And I hadn't really kind of been that bad in a long time. I think, kind of taking a step back, I think, maybe it was a little bit expected at times just to struggle and kind of go through that. I would have loved to pick up right where I left off, but I think I had to go through some more growing pains again. But for the most part, satisfied with last year and the way it went. And I do expect to be better next year.
Awesome. Thank you, Kirby.
Okay, we'll go to Sean McFarland.
Hey, Kirby, Sean McFarland, Dallas Morning News. I'm curious, in the free agent process, when you look at a team like Texas that has Bruce Bochy's manager who knows how to operate a bullpen very well, Mike Maddox, a pitching coach, even Jonah Hyman, a catcher, Gold Glover, good at framing, all these, like how much does the personnel on that team factor into you making decisions and kind of what you're looking for?
I think a lot. I think, you don't get to choose who you like, which teams are going to target you in spring training or in free agency. Um, when you get a call like, "Hey, Texas is interested," obviously, your ears perk up a little bit and you can't wait, especially me for being a bullpen guy. I mean, I've watched Bochy in the NOS for a number of years. Highly, I have a lot of respect for him, as probably everybody else does. I think what he does with the bullpen is, top notch, probably second to none. And like for me personally, just to get a chance to kind of go be a part of it, especially with that staff and everything, I think it's kind of a no-brainer.
And then, did you have a chance to watch them much in the playoffs, World Series? And if so, kind of what were the takeaways just watching this team?
They're competitive. Obviously, they won. But the combination of, young guys that they had, young arms, Young at third base, I watched him a little bit. He's impressed me a lot. And I know Seager, I know Simeon from just being in the league and playing against Corey for, years when he was with the Dodgers, and then having a chance to kind of be around Marcus a little bit when I was, in Toronto and I got hurt. I think, you know, they're top-notch players, and it all kind of speaks for themselves. You kind of, when you watch them, you're like, yeah, this team is real. And I think I kind of felt like that. I think we played them, early in the summer. And you just could tell that, they were going to be around at the end of the year. And so I'm excited to kind of join that and be a part of the group.
Thanks, Kirby.
Okay, we'll go to Stephen Hawkins.
Stephen Hawkins with the Associated Press. You were in an organization that had a lot of success last year. How important is it for a player, and how much does it do for a player to be part of organizations like that?
Yeah, I think it's kind of the first time I've ever really been on a winning team. And I think you kind of just learn how there's a reason why organizations keep winning years after years. It's because they know what they're doing and they know what to teach, how to basically get guys to come in and work every day. I think that's the biggest takeaway I've kind of got from the Braves, is that when everybody came in, everybody was work every day, everybody had their routines, and everybody was locked in on trying to win that night. Nobody cared about what happened yesterday. Nobody cared about what's going to happen tomorrow. The most important thing was winning that night. And, I think that's pretty important.
You mentioned some of the guys like knowing from the league and all that. Do you have any relationships or know anything, have played with any of these pitchers that you're going to be with?
Me and Neil Valdi play together in New York.
Okay.
So I know him. I was with Andrew Heaney a little bit in Anaheim, especially for spring training. So I know a few of them. But I think being around too long enough, like I've played against a lot of these guys, some of them in the minor leagues as well. So I'm hoping to be an easy transition, and like I'm excited. I think it's a good group of guys. I think I have a lot of mutual friends with guys there, so um, I'm excited, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
All right, man. Thanks.
Back to Kennedy.
Hey, I'm curious. A lot of the guys and the pitchers the Rangers have signed the last few years talk about how interesting it is to have a general manager who's been a pitcher. How is that? How have your conversations with Chris Young gone? And is that exciting for you to have a guy who's been in your shoes before?
Yeah, I mean, ironically, I was on that Padres team that CY went to camp with in 2018, I think. And so we had a lot of conversations then. Had a lot of respect for him then, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant in what he did. And I knew, right when kind of Texas hired him to be, in a front office job, I thought that was just a tremendous hire. And I think so far, having, conversations with him, we haven't dove into anything real deep or anything like that. It's been really quick because I know he's been busy with the winter meetings and everything. So, but they've been awesome, and it's kind of cool. I guess the older you get, you kind of have built-in relationships, and that's guess one of the perks is being 37 years old and still playing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Oh.
Okay, we'll go back to Sean McFarland.
Just a question. You mentioned, obviously last year is your first year post surgery, post injury. Is there anything to going into spring training this year, going into this season? Will it feel more normal, I guess, because it's not the first full year after a big injury, a big rehab? Like, is that something that plays a factor into going into 2024?
Yeah, I think this year, like it's even last year in 22, I finished the year on the DL. So like I was still kind of rehabbing last year going into the off season. Like I wasn't necessarily hurt, but I still had to get better. You know what I mean? And this year it's been the first, like really I have a clean bill of health where I'm going and working out, and I'm literally just working on baseball things and trying to clean some things up mechanically and get the pitching side back right again. And for me that's kind of a fresh breath of air. Just like I really am putting the health thing behind me, and I feel confident that I should be hitting on all cylinders next year, because I don't have to worry about the health, and I don't have like questions in my head, is this going to happen or what? I'm just preparing for a season like I did for so many years.
Okay. Go another one from Kennedy.
Sorry, last one, Rich.
Oh.
Is there anything you learned about yourself over the last few years going through the rehab and the injuries, and especially coming off that 2019 season where you were really good? Did you kind of learn anything?
I think the last year, the thing that I learned the most is that I can still do this, and I still believe that I can do this at a high level. I don't think I'd be playing if I didn't think that I could at least regain the form, close to the form that I was before I got hurt. And last year I felt like at times like I was kind of knocking on the door of doing that. It just didn't work out to where I kind of, put consistent outings together where, it kind of just gave me the confidence. All right, like, yeah, I know I can do that, but I have to make some tweaks here and there, and we should be on our way. I think that's kind of the biggest thing I learned, where, it's just reassuring myself that I didn't rehab for 3 years for, just to get back to the big leagues. Like I got back to the big leagues, and I still think that I can contribute at a high level.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh.
Okay, next up is Jared Sandler.
Hey, Kirby, I'm just curious, when did you start throwing your split change, and how did you learn it, and who or what were the, I guess, influences or driving factors to help you get to that pitch to where it is now?
So in 2016, I was, with the Yankees, I was still throwing a slider. Had kind of a up and down year. It was rough at times. The one thing I noticed about that is that when I had out pitch, like a breaking ball slider, when it was good, and I would do good. I would have clean innings and be successful. Problem is that when it wasn't, and I threw one bad one, it was probably getting hit out of the park, and I'd give up a couple runs. And so going into the 2017 season, I kind of had been tinkering with a split. Eovaldi was on the Yankees team; he threw a split. So there was a bunch of guys on that team that threw a split. So I kind of told myself like I need to try and learn that pitch. Unfortunately for me, where I worked out that next off season was Alex Cobb was there, and he threw one, and so I ended up playing catch with him all off season, and he kind of got me going in the right direction on how to kind of like where to get your hand on it, and where to just kind of what to do. And so I took it in that spring training. It was kind of all over the place, but once I got to San Diego, they knew that I'd been working on a split. And the first thing that they told me was that we know you're throwing a split and we want you to throw it. And so I think them kind of instilling the confidence with me and having me throwing it. And then along their lines is Darren Balsley was there, their pitching coach, and he's really good at teaching changeups. And the one thing he kind of harped on me about and got me going in the right direction is like where my hand placement is at release. And once I got comfortable with that, it kind of just kept going up. And it was never really it was a tough pitch to learn, sort of, but not really, just because I got comfortable with it really fast.
And then was it coming back from the injury? Was it an easy pitch to pick back up, or did you have to reteach yourself how to throw it?
I think I'm still in the process of reteaching myself how to, be efficient mechanically. I think last year there was a lot of bad habits that kind of peaked up that kind of made me inconsistent. I think the biggest outlier in that is, kind of what my split was doing on a consistent night. Is very inconsistent. And, I think that was kind of a product of having bad mechanics, just picking up bad habits from not pitching for 3 years. So, I do think that it's still comfortable in my hand, and it's just a matter of cleaning up the delivery, and I think it'll follow.
Awesome. Thanks, Kirby.
Okay, we'll pause here, give time. Any last questions? Everybody's set. Okay. Thank you very much, Kirby, for joining us. This has been great.
No problem. See you guys. Thank you.
See you soon. See you
Thank
soon.
you.